Hello, Orange fans. Let's talk bowl game, and let's talk a little basketball, shall we? Well, it's official, Orange fans. The Orange are gonna be in New York for their bowl game, December 30th, Yankee Stadium, the New Era Pinstripe Bowl. And guess who our opponent is gonna be in that bowl game, Orange fans? Our old friends who faced us in two other bowls, Bill Snyder and Kansas State. Well, you know, it was against Kansas State that the Orange got their last bowl victory. The 26-3 drubbing we gave them in the Insight.com Bowl. But of course, that was to avenge our only other time we played them in the bowls. 1997, the Fiesta Bowl, when the Kansas State drubbed the Orange. 2001 was really the last great team Paul Pasqualoni had when he coached the Orange. But you know, it sure is good to be back in the bowls after a 6-year absence. And a familiar foe to do it. Bill Snyder, he's done a wonderful job in his 2 tenures at Kansas State. Heck, he resurrected them from the dungeon of the Division I, because that's exactly where Kansas State was for the longest time. And of course, Kansas State has produced some pretty good players in the NFL. But you know, enough's enough. It's time for the Orange to get to business. And Doug Marrone has to have his troops ready down there for what promises to be a pretty good bowl game, because, you know, Kansas State can run the ball quite a bit. And anybody who saw Army and Notre Dame a couple weeks ago when they played at Yankee Stadium can see just how tight it was. Heck, I saw how the gridiron looked there. And you know, they just spit it in. What'd they do? There it is, it fits. Just like what happens when you go into a pair of ski boots. Or you put on a pair of pants 2 sizes too small. You go in there and you can feel your pants go. Well, that's our look at the football team. Let's take a quick look at the hoops team, shall we? Our first game was against our old friends from down in Ithaca. That's right, the Big Red of Cornell. And Cornell isn't as big this year as they were in years past. Hell, last year they made it to the Sweet 16 before they lost to Kentucky. And I should say, you ever go to Ithaca? Go to Napoli Pizza, owned by the uncle. Or what was owned by the uncle of a nice girl that serves me every week at Red's, Giovanna Christopher. Best pizza and wings here in New York State. Or so they say. I'll have to try 'em. But whatever. The Orange had a nice little appetizer there going into the dome against the Big Red. And for a while it looked like it was going to be another Syracuse blowout. But of course, Syracuse has to make things interesting, don't you know? Heck, 2 of the Big 3 had big games. And by the Big 3, I mean Rick Jackson, Chris Joseph, and Scoop Jardine. Because those 3 seem to be the big nucleus of the team this year. Jardine didn't score any points. But one big recruit, who so far has been a disappointment, had a nice little coming out party. Fab Mello really started to show what he's made of, even if it was only 8 points. Heck, he showed he could do the alley-oop and all of that. But you know, Fab Mello still has a long way to go. Even though it was a nice victory against the Big Red, there were still a few interesting bits. And then came another Big Red opponent, the Wolfpack of North Carolina State on Saturday. And you know, this team for Syracuse is either Dr. Jekyll, like they were against Cornell and Georgia Tech, or Mr. Hyde. And this time they were Mr. Hyde, like they were against Detroit and against Michigan. Boy, they made it real interesting, and there was some nervousness there. You gotta kind of wonder, being it was part of Jimmy V Week for cancer research, whether the ghost of the former North Carolina State coach was in the dome, urging his team on. Jimmy V, I love you. You were a character. But you helped a little bit, but you didn't help enough, because the Orange still prevailed, although just barely, and Jardine got back on his game. And of course, Fab Mello did have to regress a little bit, and Kata's starting to show his freshman jitters a little bit too. But it can't all was up to a freshman to hit those clutch free throws at the end. Boy, it was a close one, but it still is a great win when you beat the ACC. And looking ahead to this week, we got a big one tomorrow night in Madison Square Garden, Michigan State. Oh boy, this'll really test the Orange's mettle. Many people will say when the Orange play Michigan State, the weaknesses will come out. Hopefully, no weaknesses are going to come out this time. Hopefully, we can beat those darn Spartans from East Lansing. And also on Saturday night, our most familiar foe comes to the Dome, the Colgate Raiders. I have to watch it because officially they aren't the Red Raiders anymore. Well, whatever. Colgate always has been a great quality opponent for the Orange, but lately, a pretty easy win. But still is nice to welcome our close friends from the Southeast in Madison County. Let's go basketball and let's go football. We're going bowling, albeit even if it isn't down in Florida or Arizona. We're still going bowling, Big Apple. I'm Ken Haas, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it this week.